A new crisis is unfolding in Southeast Asia, threatening the fragile balance of power in the region. Along the rugged border between Thailand and Cambodia, a long-dormant conflict has reignited, sending shockwaves through ASEAN and drawing international attention. What started as sporadic clashes has now escalated into a broader military standoff, raising fears of a full-scale war. The roots of this conflict run deep. At the center lies the disputed Preah Vihear Temple, a centuries-old Hindu site perched atop a cliff on the border. Though the International Court of Justice awarded the temple to Cambodia in 1962, the surrounding territory remains hotly contested. Over the years, this has fueled periodic flare-ups between the two nations, but the recent violence is far more intense. In the past few weeks, both Thailand and Cambodia have accused each other of violating sovereignty. Artillery exchanges, rocket strikes, and aerial attacks have left more than a dozen dead and forced over 100,000 people to flee their homes. Entire villages near the border have been emptied. Schools are shut, markets stand abandoned, and the fear of what might come next hangs heavily in the air. Thailand claims Cambodian forces fired first, targeting Thai military outposts with rockets and heavy artillery. Cambodia, on the other hand, insists it was acting in self-defense, accusing Thailand of launching airstrikes that hit civilian areas. Thai fighter jets, including F-16s, have reportedly conducted sorties near the border, while Cambodian forces are said to be mobilizing additional troops and rocket systems. Both sides are now reinforcing defensive positions, digging in for what could become a prolonged conflict. Amid this chaos, diplomacy has collapsed. Thailand and Cambodia have withdrawn ambassadors. High-level talks have stalled. Both countries are engaging in fierce rhetoric, fueling nationalist sentiment. Thailand has gone as far as warning of a potential full-scale war, while Cambodia has called for an emergency meeting at the United Nations, claiming it is under attack from a larger neighbor. The economic consequences are already severe. Bilateral trade between Thailand and Cambodia has ground to a halt. Major border crossings have been closed. Cambodian authorities have banned imports of Thai goods, including fuel, while Thailand has threatened to cut off electricity and internet access to Cambodian towns near the border. This tit-for-tat economic warfare is further destabilizing local communities and pushing the region toward a humanitarian crisis. But this conflict isn't just about disputed land or old grudges. It's about power, influence, and shifting alliances in Asia. Thailand, a longtime U.S. ally, has recently been balancing its foreign policy between Washington and Beijing. Cambodia, on the other hand, is seen as one of China's closest regional partners, heavily reliant on Chinese investment and military support. Some analysts fear that this border war could become a proxy flashpoint between rival global powers, especially if the violence spirals out of control. ASEAN, the regional bloc that includes both countries, has been largely ineffective in preventing the escalation. While there have been calls for peace and restraint, no concrete steps have been taken. The crisis is exposing ASEAN's weakness in handling internal disputes and maintaining unity, with member states reluctant to take sides or intervene directly. The region's most important multilateral institution risks becoming irrelevant in the face of rising nationalism and militarization. Meanwhile, civilians are bearing the brunt. Entire families have fled into forests and makeshift shelters. Hospitals near the border are overwhelmed. There are unconfirmed reports of the use of banned munitions, including cluster bombs, which could indicate violations of international humanitarian law. NGOs and aid agencies are struggling to reach displaced populations due to ongoing fighting and roadblocks. Inside Thailand, the political situation is also contributing to the instability. The current government faces mounting criticism over its handling of the crisis, with opposition parties accusing the Prime Minister of mismanagement and using the conflict to distract from domestic issues. Cambodia's leadership, too, is under pressure to project strength and avoid appearing weak, especially in the face of growing nationalist sentiment at home. Despite the dangerous escalation, there are still slim hopes for diplomacy. Back-channel communications between military officials have reportedly resumed. Regional powers like Indonesia and Malaysia are pushing for urgent dialogue. Even China and the United States have issued rare joint calls for de-escalation, urging both sides to show restraint. But the reality on the ground remains volatile. A single misstep, a rogue missile, or a miscommunication could plunge the region into a wider war. The global community is watching closely. A regional war in Southeast Asia would disrupt supply chains, threaten global trade through the Gulf of Thailand, and destabilize one of the most economically important parts of the world. Investors are already pulling out of infrastructure projects. Tourism has collapsed overnight, and foreign embassies are urging citizens to leave the border provinces. This is a dangerous moment for Asia, as Thailand and Cambodia stare down each other across a tense and volatile border. The stakes couldn't be higher. The next few days will be critical. Will cooler heads prevail? Or will national pride and political ambition push both nations into a conflict that neither can afford to win? This isn't just a border skirmish. It's a test of diplomacy, leadership, and the strength of institutions meant to prevent war. And the outcome will shape the future of the region for years to come.